want to thank each and every one of you for coming from your homes, and for our allies that are here too. This is an issue. It's not just an Indian issue. This is an issue that's affecting each and every one of our lives here in this community, from all walks of life. And we're building a future where we want to raise our children in. All children, whether they're native, white, black, our immigrant relatives, all, from all walks of life. And so it's an honor to be here on this day, to make a stand against racism, to make a stand against these racist behaviors, practices, policies, and tactics. Every single one of us standing here have our own experiences. All of us standing here have seen what happens in this community. This is just it being overt. It's just black and white, we can see it. But every single day in this community, we have experienced when our people are harassed. We've seen when our people, our unsheltered relatives are harassed.
It should be live now.
We've seen how our people are harassed in the stores. And we know that there's business owners here that stand against this too, that stand with us, that want to make a change. And I'll tell you this, you know, NDN Collective and all Native people and everybody here, we're not going to stand for this no more. It's time for us. It's time for us to rise up. And I want to share, and I'll share this more at the, more at the press conference. But one of the things that we're here is the Grand Gateway made their announcements that they wouldn't serve our people. That they wouldn't serve our people. And so what we did was we said we wanted to call their bluff and see if they would. So we sent our people up there. We sent our people up to the Grand Gateway. And guess what? They denied service to Indian people. They denied us service. They kicked some of our people out of the lobby up there. They did more than words. They took action. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed in this country. And in 2022, in Rapid City, South Dakota, denied service to Native American people. And we're putting a stop to that.
We pay good money to be there.
So what we did, along with my friend Brendan Johnson, former U.S. Attorney for the state of South Dakota, we filed a lawsuit that was filed 10 minutes ago and accepted in the federal courthouse. We're Lakotas, but if we need to use the Washichu's law against the Washichu for committing violence against our people, we will. And so this is a moment. This is a moment for each and every one of our people to make a difference, to change how you treat people. And I ask our allies to think about something. As you march with us, make a prayer. As you march with us, make a prayer for the world that we're trying to build. Because what's happened in this community is every time we speak up as Native people, we are criminalized. We've seen it. We don't speak with the tone that they want us to speak. All of a sudden, they put charges on us. Yeah, we're done with that. It's the same racism. It is the same exact type of racism that you've seen happen at the Grand Gateway. Happens every day in these streets out here in Minneluzahan. And we're done with it. And so this is the reason that we're coming here today. At the same time that we are filled with anger that this is happening, we also recognize the issues that our young people are facing. That there's violence happening in our community. That we want healing for our families and for our young people. We want opportunities. We want jobs. We want housing. Our people should not have to be living on the streets in our own homelands. all of these lands are the Osheti Shakoi. We do not see the boundaries between the reservations and Meniluzaha. This is the land of the Osheti Shakoi. So I share these words with each and every one of you, and I am honored to be standing before you, seeing in your hearts and your minds of why you're here, because you care, because you want something different. And let's carry that with us as we march, as we pray, as we come together. So these are the reasons in which why we're coming here today.
Excuse me.
Hey, can
I was suggesting.
So before we go, before we start marching, we're going to share a few more words. One of my Kahashis, Scott Clifford, is coming here to speak on behalf of his family. There's a young man fighting for his life up there at Monument, Blaine Puyer. And I ask that as we march today, we also pray for him. We pray for him. That incident that happened up there was the catalyzer for how they were going to respond to our people. And the reality is, we can hold both of these things to be true. We can hold the fact that we want to stop the violence in our communities. That we want to stop the violence in our communities. At the same time, we will not put up with the racist tactics by the business owners in this community or by the politicians. So I share these things and ask us, to demand things from our politicians too.
I want to school.
To demand things from those who make decisions about our lives over us. Everybody knows about the boarding school lands issue that is happening here in this community. And that the fact that the Rapid City Council has been dragging their feet on returning some of these stolen lands to our people. And keep coming up with excuse after excuse of why. They can take action. There should be no reason there's not an Indian center here in Rapid City to serve the Native people. And I know my Hokashi Chante Hart and a lot of people in this community have been organizing for a long time to try to turn that into a reality. And that's one of the things that can become as a result of this too. Because at the same time that we're fighting against the oppressive tactics against our people, we're also building the future so our kids can grow up in this community. So we're going to have a few more speakers as we wait for Tahashi Scott. And after he gets here, he's going to share a few words on behalf of his family. And then we're going to circle up and smudge off and say a prayer before we march to the federal courthouse. Etchetuolo.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We're just transitioning to the next speaker here. We are in Rapid City, South Dakota, Meniluzaha, home of the Osheti Shakoi, the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota people, preparing for our march to the federal building to file our lawsuit, our federal class action civil rights lawsuit against the Grand Gateway Hotel. And we'll go back to our speakers.
Ask the Okawi Chasha to share an encouragement song for us. And as they sing this encouragement song, let it empower you. Let it make you feel good today. Let it take away the anger and turn that anger into love for our people and for each other and for unity for our community. Wopula for that song, Going Chasha. At this time, we're gonna ask everybody to start here, and we're gonna make a circle. We're gonna make a circle, starting right here, around this area. And we're about to find out how many Indians is it to make a circle. We always end up with an oval, so let's try to make a circle.
It's kind of fun. Are they gonna, is the prayer?
All right, everybody that's way over there, can you hear us? If you can hear us in the back, put your hand up. Before we make the prayer, I'm gonna ask my Kahashi Scott Clifford to say some words on behalf of the Puyer family and on behalf of Blaine Puyer at this time.
Well, I'm going to say thank you to my Hoka brother is Eli Batiste, and that's Nick's older brother. And Wai Hakta Iman Shapi. Scotty Clifford, they come from Rocky Ford, South Dakota. My grandmother, Olivia Blackout, was a granddaughter of Nicholas Blackout. And we all know that lately that Blackout Peak received its name by the hard work of my cousin brother Myron Puyer on behalf of the Blackout family. Before that, Harney Peak is the name, but just like everything that NDN Collective is working hard to do, that name was changed by help of Myron Puyer and some other Basil Braveheart and some other key people. And I think today is another proclamation, reclaiming of who we are. Just like Oglala Lakota County used to be Cheyenne County, now it's Oglala Lakota County. Thanks to my friend Kevin Fillard. I don't know how much time I have, but most of you look like you guys are Indian. And I want to clarify something from my great-grandfather, Grandpa Frank Foolscrow. He says there's no such thing as Indian. It's all spiritual time. And we can't do this without a prayer. We can't do this without a oval-shaped circle like Nick said. But I want to acknowledge that what happened on Saturday morning is just another long line of things that have happened, that have been happening to our people for, I'd like to use the term 500 years, but in this particular region for over 150 some years. Again and again and again, okay, over and over and over. My brother Myron, who I grew up with, and his wife Shauna, they wanted me to share with you that think about Blaine today. And I just came as fast as I could to get here. Sorry I'm late. But they asked today to remember Blaine Puyer in your prayers. And check this out. They also asked you to remember the other family, the shooter, Quincy Barrow. This is the kind of family that the Blackout family is our great-great-grandfather talked about. You can't know the universe until you know the one within yourself first. You can't know peace unless you know peace within yourself first. And Misikula Nick does an amazing job with his, of course, great staff.
Nick.
He does a great job of bringing this to light. And I want to share one more thing. Tamashi Don. I want to share one more thing. This was a native on native crime. But it wasn't in Rapid City. It was on our own land. This is our land. And maybe, brothers and sisters, maybe it's because we don't have the government or the governess to govern our own lands anymore. I'll leave all that kind of jargon up to Nick. He's way better at that than me. But what I will do today, from Tahashi's, Don, and everybody else, we need to really hold ourselves accountable and responsible. Grandpa Fusco said that there's two gifts in the youth group. He said that there's truth and authenticity. Men have to uphold the truth. Women are authentic as the water. That's why water is life, because women give that life. They let that water flow. So you're authentically beautiful, every one of you, beautiful women. Truth, authenticity, male, female. So there's a balance. We have to hold ourselves accountable. I know the Barrow family. I won't say who their names because I don't know if they feel comfortable. But there's a Barrow lady that works at Walnut School that I admire. She's a hard worker. She feels bad about this. I know she does. Myron has been an educator for his whole lifetime about our plight of who we are as the Red Man, the Blackout family. He too is an educator. So what basically happened is Blaine was just standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to walk out a door, trying to protect his female younger girl cousin from getting her stuff out of the room. She was being harassed. This kid stays home all the time. He's for lack of better words, he's kind of a nerdy guy. He just kind of keeps to himself. He probably would be embarrassed and mad at me for saying that about him, my nephew. But I remember performing last year at the Lakota Tech High School, and these two boys were there. They both went up and graduated, did their thing. But we can't say that. That's down there and this is up here, because if we're true to what Tahashi Nick is saying, this is all one. This is our land. All of it. So what I propose moving forward is that we need to hold ourselves accountable and responsible. How we do that is by creating trust and respect. How do we do that? By being honest and compassionate. Honesty and compassion. Male, feminine. Masculine, feminine. There's a male side and a feminine side. And that's all the way that it always has been. And there's many, many people out there that are spiritual leaders. I myself pray with the Moose family and Warfield Moose Sr. He always said you can't have a relationship with anybody else until you have one with yourself. Because you have to hold yourself accountable and responsible so that we don't have any homeless. Some of you have relatives in Rapid Creek. Pick them up. Maybe they're ornery. Maybe they're angry at you. Maybe they don't want to go home with you because they say, I'm in my black heels, and that's true. They're telling the truth.
Amen for that
But
one.
for whatever reason, we need to take care of them. They need our help. And I'll leave you with one more idea. Grandpa Fuscro said codependency used to be a good word. It could not coexist without codepending on one another. Alcoholism, Christianity that did the 12-step pattern for all that, made codependency a bad word. I had a relative for many horses, I won't say their first name, but they died in this creek 7-8 years ago. And it was the beginning of a lot of things that happened whenever there was that young boy that shot up all those cops over here in North Rapid. I knew that kid. He was a good kid. Every spring I go around to all the schools in Pinehurst Reservation, and I do my own little music assembly and sing my songs I wrote about us, who we are. And I tell them to behave themselves, to have grace and class. My grandma Olivia Blacktop talked about that. Malakota. Wakwala. He's gonna get choked up. When I talk about my grandma, I get choked up. Wakwala Nawalakota. Balance and harmony can only be achieved by grace and class. How you hold yourself is important. And this is humanity. This is, we talk about business before pleasure. Well, what about who we are before business? And that's all my brother is trying to achieve with NDN Collective. My brother Nick and my brother Myron, who was on news last night. He's right. He said this could have been avoided. This could have been avoided. So let's hold each other accountable and responsible in our own manners. And let's do a better job. I know there's racism. That's true. There's racism. And it's not that we have to adhere to the white man to be perfect so they could accept us. That's a farce. All I'm saying is let's walk with class, grace, and beauty. Wala kota na wafala. And let's follow my brother.
We're going to take a moment of silence for Blaine. And in this moment of silence, please send out your prayers and good thoughts. I'm going to ask Lekshi Mike Cross to say a prayer, and then we'll have a prayer song.
We'll be right back after this prayer. We'll be on standby, and we'll pick right up where we left off. Thanks, everyone. just finished with a prayer from an elder and also starting with a prayer song right before we head on over to the federal courthouse here in Maniluzaha, Rapid City. And we're here in prayer. Heard a lot of really great and beautiful words from Scotty Clifford, from Nick Tilson, from Sunny Red Bear, and just heard a prayer from an elder. Really good feelings here. Everybody's circled up. Everybody's bringing the circle in right now. But right before the prayer, everyone extended out into the park, into this massive circle. It was really beautiful. A lot of people here, a lot of Native people, a lot of Ocheti Shakoi, beautiful Native people are here today. Elders, children, youth, men, women, Two-Spirit allies. We see representatives from the Oglala Sioux tribe. It's really great to have them here. We're just about to start organizing. We're lining up behind the banner here, getting ready for the march. We're going to be walking throughout the march and talking to different people who are here. So please stay tuned as we have some conversations with a lot of different people here. So here you see the beginning of the march. Really happy to see Brendan Johnson here in the front. There's a lot of non-Native allies. We're really happy to see you here. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you who are tuning in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. I heard from a lot of folks that they wish that they could be here today. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for being with us in your good thoughts, in your prayers. I know that while we're here in Maniluzaha, Rapid City, many people throughout the state of South Dakota, the Dakotas moreover, Indian country moreover, know that this is something that happens all too often. It just so happened to get caught online on social media this weekend. So wherever you're joining from, we appreciate you. We know that we're in this fight together, and we'll be reporting throughout the duration of the day and following through the march. So we're starting the march here in Memorial Park, and we're going to be walking downtown to the federal courthouse. At 3 o'clock, there will be a press conference where we'll hear more about the federal civil rights class action lawsuit that was just filed not too long ago. We'll be hearing from representatives from the NDN Collective, plaintiffs on the lawsuit, We'll be listening to, or we'll be talking to some of the legal representation. We'll be listening to different tribal leaders. We got Chante Hart on the bullhorn, getting the crowd hyped and feeling good. It's a beautiful feeling here. It's a beautiful day. Lots of lilies, acacias. So even though we're here due to a really sad reality, the spirits are really high. We're here in community. And that's the only way that we could do this work is in community. Trying to find Chante so I could get close to that bullhorn. Okay, I'm gonna try to get close to Chante so you all can hear her cool cheers. She riles up the crowd, feels really good. Whoop. We'll find her here in a second. In the meantime, we're gonna walk through and talk to some folks about while they're here. So maybe Lorenzo, you can follow me this way. I talked to a number of folks who earlier today about why they're here. Some elders. I see some elders here in wheelchairs. Like, it's just really beautiful to see people showing up. It's important. It's important to be here. There are people that have been here that have been a part of the American Indian movement some 30, 40 years ago that I want to talk to next. So, yeah. Hey, you ready for a quick conversation? Okay, hey everyone. So I'm here today with Sissy and Cedric Goodhouse, and both of them have been a part of this work for Indigenous civil rights, tribal rights for a long time. They're respected elders from Standing Rock, who I personally have a lot of love and respect for, and they came here all the way today here from Standing Rock in Fort Yates, so we're going to be visiting with them. And so, yeah, thank you so much, Cedric, for being willing to have a conversation with me. We're just getting ready to go. So tell us about why you're here.
You know, after I heard about the incident at the hotel there and everything that they were saying, the guy said Indians, you know, are not allowed, and that just generalizes everybody, you know. And also within the Black Hills here, you know, that treaty, the Treaty of 51 and 68 includes this area and includes all of us, and we're signers of the treaty, Hunkapapa people. And the Hunkapapa, it doesn't matter, you know, if they call Indians, just generalizing everybody. This doesn't mean one tribe. It means all of us, everybody that is Indian. I'm a full blood. I have children living down here. I have children going to school. They come here for powwow. They come here for basketball games and other things like that. And I want them to be safe when they come down here and have a good time. You know, and this is our sacred area here, and we don't want things like this to be happening. You know, and I look at the treaty. The treaty lays out our boundaries, and they offered us money for it. We've never accepted that money, and we still consider this ours. You know, so in that treaty it says that we should, for absolute and undisturbed use and occupation, and that means us. You know, and then there's another part of the treaty. It talks about 3/4 male has to agree with anything after that, and there's never been a 3/4 male that has ever agreed to anything the government has done in reference to rights and laws that they passed. So we still abide by the treaty, and there are a lot of us on Standing Rock, and I'm a Hunkapapa. My wife is from Cannonball. She's a Ihantwa, and that's why we're here today. We're here to support, and we're here to show that, you know, we're part of everything that's going on.
Cool. Thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to me, Cedric. Really good to see you guys, and we'll let you guys catch up to the to the march here, and we'll see you guys over there. Okay, we'll see you. Thank you so much. All right, yeah, so that was Cedric Goodhouse from Standing Rock Hunkpapa Lakota, an elder, someone who's been involved in indigenous movement work for a long time, been involved in things in his own community. So here as a Hunkpapa Lakota, someone as a member of the Oceti Sakowin, someone who this land is sacred to. So we're going to catch up to the march here, and we'll be talking to people as we go. But again, take a look at this line here. This is really beautiful. There's a lot of people here today. There's children in strollers. We see elders, children. We see pets. We see animals. It's really beautiful day here in Miniluzanha. Beautiful spring day. The feeling is really good. So thank you for joining us and tuning in wherever you're joining us from. We'll be live for the next hour and a half or so. If you're just now joining us, we finished a rally and prayer at Memorial Park here in Miniluzanha, and we're just now starting our march down to the federal courthouse to have a press conference. The federal civil rights lawsuit has already been filed, and so we'll be sharing more information about that federal civil rights class action lawsuit when we get to the federal courthouse at the press conference. But here you can also see different tribal flags here. We see the flag of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Also mentioned Oglala Sioux tribal president Kevin Killer is here, and other members of the tribal council. Can also see the flag of the Crow Creek Sioux tribe. And you'll also notice a bunch of t-shirts that folks are wearing. On one side, the t-shirts say Bad Indian. On the other side, they say Good Indian. This a direct reference to the hotel owner of the Grand Gateway Hotel, the Grand. Just a second. 251. Yeah. Owner of the Grand Gateway Hotel. Owner of the Grand Gateway Hotel said she can't tell who's a good Indian or a bad Indian. That's why she's going to ban all Native Americans from her business, the Grand Gateway Hotel and the Cheers Lounge. And this is a historical phenomena for the settler state, for Indian agents, to try to pick and choose and parse out based on their perception who's a good Indian and a bad Indian. And a lot of times, that determination is largely based on the degree to which somebody has assimilated or accepted colonization. The degree to which they're good is often, a direct measure of their niceness, maybe to the settler. Maybe their quietness when it comes to injustice. So this concept of good Indian and bad Indian is something that we're used to, something that we're very familiar with. And talking to a lot of people here at this march, talking to a lot of friends and relatives who are here, they say, I'm the bad Indian. I'm a bad Indian, and in the sense, in more or less embracing that, we're here to stand up for our people. We're here to stand up for our right to be here and exist on our own homelands. And if that makes Indigenous people bad, then that's something that many of our people will gladly wear. So here we see in the front of the line here, Candy brings plenty. So happy to see her here. Glad you're here. We'll be talking to Candy a little bit later. We're here in partnership with the American Indian Movement and the Cheyenne River Grassroots Collective, organizing here with folks from the local movement community, from surrounding tribal communities. There are people here that are local, and also just based on the conversation I had earlier with Cedric Goodhouse from Standing Rock, there's a lot of people here that traveled from many different reservations. There's a lot of other press here. I saw a couple of other local press news stations. So we'll keep an eye out for coverage a little bit later. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to NDN Collective's live stream. We do our best to bring information to you in a way that's really unique, that is really centering the voices of our people in a way that is giving you a perspective that is often cut out or edited from a lot of these mainstream narratives. So we're here to talk to our people themselves and hear directly from them why they're here, how this news impacted them, and how this is just one of many incidents. Okay, I think we're gonna stop, and we're just about to cross the road here, leaving Memorial Park, heading downtown. To take a look at some of these signs here that youth are carrying too here in a moment. We're just getting ready to safely cross the road here. I would estimate, anywhere from 500 to approximately maybe even 1,000 people present here today. Really beautiful to see everyone. And we are here obviously walking led by the drum and prayer songs here in prayer. Some folks here watching, folks maybe coming out from their workday here on the sidewalk. Things feel really good today. See a lot of other live streams happening, a lot of people with their phones up. This is awesome. I'm going to try to get in here and have some more conversation with folks as we walk through the streets here. Okay, so here we are with Kevin Killer, president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. Thank you so much for being here, Kevin.
Yep.
Could you tell us why you're here today and why it's important to you to be here?
I think it's important to support our tribal members and understanding that, we don't have boundaries under our 1868, 1851 treaty. Understanding that, we're coming together from a way to heal and making sure that we're, coming at this in a good way, but also, holding people accountable for what happened and understanding that you can't, just talk to people and say things because, there's a lot of us now and you can't just keep making sure that, we're always moving forward just in a good prayer, good direction, and understanding that our ancestors prayed for us to happen. So I think that's just important not to forget that, and understanding that, we're setting the example for the next generation, and I think that's why it's important to actually be here and show up.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep, thank you.
So you had a conversation the other day with the mayor and the city council. How do you feel they're approaching this situation at this time?
I think we reached out to the mayor's office, with the understanding that it was important that we all get on the same page, especially about this issue. The mayor did acknowledge that. We released a joint statement. We released our separate statement, which was a little bit stronger, but at the same time had similar messages. At the end of the day, this isn't acceptable, and I think that's what the mayor relayed that. His different officials that he had there relayed that this isn't acceptable. But it's like, this is baby steps too. I think the biggest thing is just making sure that we as a tribe and other tribal leaders follow through, and meeting with city officials because of the amount of business that we do up here or down here, depending on where you're from. And it's just important that we need to keep this, making sure people are held accountable. I think that's the most important thing, is making sure that we're always moving, working from that direction and working from that prayer. Because again, our ancestors said prayers for this to happen. And sometimes, these are learning opportunities. And, that's what we kind of left the meeting with.
Thank you so much, Kevin. One last question for you. What do you think should happen next? I mean, this is obviously a bigger systemic problem. This was just one situation where a local business owner just got caught saying what a lot of people we know feel. So this is a systemic problem, right? So what else do you think needs to happen?
I think the biggest thing is making sure that we say what we need to say, and then there's people that actually at different levels of government support us, and what we need, what we want. Because at the end of the day, it's about protecting people's rights, and obviously that's what happened, was a violation or a threat of a violation to violate people's rights, and I think that's something that, in the lawsuit that was mentioned earlier, you're actually going to see that play out. So again, at the end of the day, it's always about protecting people's rights, but also too is sharing history and teaching people the history of who we are, where we're from, and also understanding that it's a process, and so we just need to stay committed to that, especially as tribes, understanding that we have support at all levels. I mean, I've even been visiting with local business owners who reached out to me after this came out, and they ran different entities, all that, but they've been really supportive and just saying, how can we be better partners, how can we be more supportive. So I think it also worked those people up to say that, hey, we as a non-Indian community need to begin holding ourselves accountable for some of these statements, and hopefully that happens, but also, we need to, make sure that on our end that will happen. So.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin.
Yep.
Really glad you're here.
Yep.
I'll catch up with you later.
Yep.
We'll see you. That was Kevin Killer, president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, here today, saying some really good things, and also saying some really important things about the importance of history, of knowing the history and the context of Indigenous people and our place here. And the irony is that right now in the state of South Dakota, the state legislature, Governor Kristi Noem, they've been pushing an agenda to essentially attack critical race theory, or basically to remove what they see as a threat to, I guess, the comfort of the white majority, by teaching the real history of what Indigenous people have experienced. And it's just facts, it's just true story. It's just the context of how we got to be here today. Okay, the march is pausing here for a second. We're here in downtown Rapid City. And that Okay, another prayer was just said. We're
Business owners, come out here and join us! Stop the violence! No more racism!
all right. We're gonna keep moving. There's a lot of business owners who are standing outside of their businesses. There are folks who are frequenting these businesses that are stepping outside and watching. And I'm really glad. I'm really glad. You never know what their own personal politics are or their beliefs, but they get to see us. They get to see us here. They get to see us in Oceti Sakowin, Lakota, Nakota, Dakota homelands, in the land that has been a part of the Oceti Sakowin since time immemorial, and to be reminded that this is the rightful place of the Oceti Sakowin. No more racism is what we're hearing chanted on the bullhorn right now. We're still making our way to the courthouse. We're getting a little closer here. Try to go find another relative to speak with. Hey, Candy. Okay, so we are here now with Candy Brings Plenty. We got the drum behind us, so I can't hear real good, but I'm going to try to get a little closer to you, Candy. Okay. So in downtown Rapid City, Maniluzaha, this is Candy Brings Plenty. Candy, thanks so much for being here. If you could introduce us, or introduce yourself and tell us why you're here.
Hey, Matakiapi, Lampe Tukile, Io Hachante, Washte, Nape Chuziapi. Imachiapi, Wakia Tuampi, Yoyampawi, Imachiapi, Chantemakilawi. I am here in the Haisapa, standing with our Oyate and our relatives and our ancestors who come before us and who are still yet to come in the unborn. We are marching because we are on our ancestral lands. All of these businesses, all of these Washichu people, their success and their privilege was built on the shoulders of our ancestors. I've lived here in Rapid City, South Dakota since I was 3 years old. I went through so much colonial violence. I went through and witnessed my mother, my family, every single person. But we continue to stay here and fight to be seen and heard because this is where we come from. Our ancestral ways are through the Haisapa, through the Black Hills. We are marching and walking on sacred lands. And we're here to remind each and every one of these business owners and citizens of Rapid City that they are visitors on our land. Bopilataka, Watakiase.
Thanks so much, Candy. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. All right, Candy Brings Plenty. That was really powerful. So we're gonna do our best to catch up with more folks. Okay, we're taking another pause here. Look at all these beautiful people. we're adjusting here. Lots of beautiful ribbon skirts today, shawls, beautiful beaded earrings. We got the native bling, everybody feeling proud to represent their people. It's really great to see some non-native allies here today. Thank you so much. It's really important. It's really important that you're here. It's really important that you talk to your families, that you have the brave conversations to surface the racism that is often very commonly under the radar in our homes. And it's important that our allies, non-native allies, confront that racism in their homes and their communities, because the way that systemic racism works, the way that institutional racism works, is it's everyday people, it's everyday human beings who work in positions of power and influence, who shape the way Indigenous people, people of color, marginalized groups are treated. And so it's the work at home, it's the grassroots work that's really, really critical. It's the work from our allies, non-native people, that is really, really critical. And I see a lot of native people out here. The majority of the people here are Indigenous people, are Lakota people. See a lot of beautiful brown faces and black hair and other Indigenous folks, but where's the non-native allies at? We'd love to see you out here, so show us some support. Let us know if you're tuning in, where you're tuning in from. Let us know in the chat whose territory you're on. If you're not an Indigenous person, whose ancestral territory are you calling in from today? So we're nearing our destination here at the federal courthouse, getting ready for our press conference where we will be sharing more information about the federal civil rights class action lawsuit filed against the Grand Gateway Hotel for discrimination, for violation of our civil rights as human beings, as Indigenous people. So we'll be hearing more at that press conference from a number of different representatives who are plaintiffs on the lawsuit, from hearing from representatives from NDN Collective, hearing from some political figures in the community. So stay tuned for a little bit more. We'll try to chat with some of the youth here in a second. Okay. We're going to try to get out in front of this banner to give you guys a better look of the march itself. The banner being held by women, powerful women who you may recognize doing a lot of movement work. You recognize a lot of faces here from a lot of different movement spaces. It's really great to see all of them here. Those are not easy banners to carry. Do you see that? Resistance, or just from the wind. You're doing a really good job. It's even a bit of a sacrifice to show up here. So thank you for sacrificing for a cause, for all of you who are here, taking time out of your day. All right, here we are getting to the front of the federal courthouse. So we're going to be getting situated for the press conference here momentarily. I know that there are also some Rapid City business owners who are in the crowd here marching with us today. some Native business owners. So as business owners, very much impacted by, as Native business owners, impacted by this as well, impacted by the statements made, no Indians allowed, by the owner of the Grand Gateway Hotel. So here we are at the front of the federal courthouse, getting situated and set up for the press conference coming up here momentarily. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you for being here today and tuning into our live stream.
Are you okay with standing there? I get it.
Point the top corners out so it's, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Still gonna come. Yeah, still gonna come. Gonna come my way.
Yeah.
About right there. Right there? Yeah. Where's the police? Come on over here and shake my hand! Come with us! Who's proud to be Lakota today? Where the rest of you at?
Hamadakiapi, Desiree Littlebowl Amachiapilo. My name is Desiree Littlebowl, and I'm here representing the Lakota Empowerment Club at Central High School in the land of the Ocheti Sakowin. I'm going to be reading the Equity Manifesto. It begins by joining together, believing in the potency of inclusion and building from a common bond. It embraces complexity as cause for collaboration, accepting that our fates are inextricable. It recognizes local leaders as national leaders, nurturing the wisdom and creativity within every community as essential to solving the nation's problems. It demands honesty and forthrightness, calling out racism and oppression, both overt and systemic. It strives for the power to realize our goals while summoning the grace to sustain them. It requires that we understand the past without being trapped in it, embrace the present without being constrained by it, and look to the future, guided by the hopes and courage of those who have fought before and beside us. This is equity. Just and fair inclusion to a society in which all can participate, prosper, and reach their full potential. Unlocking the promise of the nation by unleashing the promise in us all.
I couldn't have done it.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just grabbing it back. You want to take Kevin there first?
Hamadakiapi, Nick Tilson, Amachiapi, Chantea, Washtanepe, Chuzapelo. How does everybody feel right now? We're going to share a few words and some information at this time. And I want to hand the mic to the president of the Ensue tribe to share a few words before we keep going.
I shake your hands with a warm and good heart. My Lakota name is Close to Earth, and English name is Kevin Killer. You know, it's good to be here today. It's good to see all of our relatives up here in unity and making sure that, you know, we're coming at this in a good way. As you heard earlier when we started this, it's walking in a prayer. You know, and I always think back to when I decided to actually run, you know, it was because of a prayer. You know, it's because of our ancestors that we got together. It was because of a prayer. And I think that's, you know, leaving this space, you know, we definitely need to make a prayer that this doesn't continue to happen, you know. And, you know, when I was 18, you know, I was actually in a lawsuit myself. You know, I'm 42 now, but, you know, at 18, I was actually, you know, the company I was working at, they tried to make me cut my hair. And, you know, and I pursued it, you know. And I was 18, there's only 2 of us. And we took on a multi-million-dollar corporation, and we ended up winning. And it's something that can be done, you know, and definitely we have the evidence. And, you know, I want to ask our relatives, any relative, it doesn't matter if you're a wall or not, to step forward and share if you had any kind of issues or anything like that, because we need to, you know, collect this information, and we need to help protect our relatives wherever they're at. You know, and as the president of the Ensue tribe, I know our council is here. You know, we're committed to protecting people's rights, making sure that we're always heard. And just standing behind, you know, standing with you all, and just making sure that we're heard in a good way. So again, you know, I want to say Wopula for showing up. Make sure that we do this peacefully, and make sure that we make our voices heard. You know, and we saw it all through the way. You know, we think about all the history. Remember a relative who passed away over at you know, Teddy's. That's another big thing that wasn't mentioned. You know, this whole thing is that, you know, there was a non-native actually committing a crime on a native person, and so remember his family as well, because that just happened recently. So say his name, Dallas. You know, say his name. So that's definitely, remember that relative. But again, just making sure that, you know, we speak louder. We understand where we're coming from. We understand our history, and you know, why we're doing this. So again, Wopula, thank you for being here. And thank you to NDN Collective for having this, and just getting us together. And remember, this isn't going to be the first time. It's going to be, you know, this is just a start. So again, you know, we want to make sure that we all protect each other and leave this space in a good way. Wopula Hachitila.
So to the local media, or whatever media is here, or to the people listening on all the different platforms, you know, throughout this nation, we are in Miniluzaha, we are in Rapid City at this time, and I want to put a little context to what led to this moment that we're at right now. The Grand Gateway, after a shooting that happened at the Grand Gateway Hotel. The Grand Gateway Hotel in Cheers Lounge announced that they would no longer serve Native American people, that they would no longer serve the Native population in our right here in Miniluzaha. And they made those threats that they wouldn't do that. But we all know whose land this is. We all know whose community this is. And so what we did is we sent our people up there. We sent our people up there to go in there and to do something as simple like we do all around this town to help our relatives. We sent our people in there to rent a room. Simple things, to rent a room. And my sister Sunny here was denied the right to do that. They denied her a right, and they didn't have a written policy. And after that, then we also, an NDN Collective, sent up Alberta Eagle, our director of operations, to go in there. Because she gets rooms all the time in this community, all throughout different hotels, motels here. And when she was asked to rent rooms on behalf of NDN Collective, the manager came out and denied us to rent rooms there, and then removed our people from the lobby of the Grand Gateway Hotel. And in the act of doing that, in the act of both violating Sonny Red Bear's rights and the rights of NDN Collective, they violated the law. And so we're here to announce that we have filed a federal lawsuit, a federal class action civil rights lawsuit against the Grand Gateway Hotel. And that we're going to hold them accountable. And so that's what brings us to this moment. And we filed it in federal court. That's why we're here. This is the federal courthouse that we're at. And we filed that lawsuit in federal court, and it just went through probably about 30 minutes ago. But at this time, I'm going to ask my sister Sunny to share a few words and also about her experience.
Wapila. Sunny Red Bear, Amachiapi. I am Minnie Kojian Hunkpapa Lakota from Cheyenne River, and I am the Director of Racial Equity at NDN Collective. We filed this federal lawsuit because our civil rights were violated. And we won't allow that to happen here in our community to our people. One thing that my Chue, Crystal, was talking to me about today is that we as an Indigenous, as Native people in Rapid City, sometimes we're not recognizing our power in our community, the power that we bring, the business that we bring to this community. We have the power to shift and make change if we stand together collectively. You have the power to make change, to hold people accountable, and that's what we're doing today. One of my other coworkers, we're writing the press statement that we put out yesterday, and she was asking for my quote, and it was really hard for me because it was just all this overwhelming emotions. It wasn't just this incident. This is a lifetime. This is generations that have felt this. My mother, my grandmother, our ancestors. And she asked me, I couldn't put it into words, and she said, "What is your heart saying?" And right away, I thought of my children. And I thought of the balance that we as Indigenous people have to play in telling our children that you are resilient and you are powerful and you can do anything. You can do and achieve anything in this life while also having to balance accountability in our community, in our cities, in our systems that continue to uphold white supremacy and racist policies and practices. And that is hard. That is hard for us to carry, but we're doing it. And today we're making a stand together. And I just want to say thank you, and I want to say Wopila from my Chante for coming here and supporting and for standing with us. Wopila.
At this time, this man sitting next to me, Brendan Johnson, is the former U.S. attorney for the state of South Dakota. And when this happened, I called him. It was late, but he picked up the phone, and I told him what happened, and he said, "Get me some evidence. You know, I want to see that this happened, because if we can prove it, then we'll stand with you, and we'll file a lawsuit." And so that's what happened. And so him being here also, and him taking the stand with us, is an important thing, because we recognize that this is something that's impacting all of our lives. That the Washichus in our community, that the Mila Haska, they don't want to see this happening either. They don't want to see this happening to Native people. They don't want to see this happening to their children. So at this time, I want to ask Brendan to share a few words and also any detail about this federal class action lawsuit.
Yes, brother. It is a good day to walk with the Lakota. Thank you for the opportunity and the honor to be your lawyer. As I was driving up today, I was thinking about when I was on Pine Ridge and I was 19 years old. My father, Tim Johnson, took me to an event on Pine Ridge, and there was the drum that was playing, and they took a moment and they were honoring people who had passed. And one of the people that they honored was Bobby Kennedy. And I asked my dad, I said, "Dad, why Bobby Kennedy?" He said, "Son," he goes, "one thing that you don't hear about in the schools of South Dakota is about the civil rights movement amongst our brothers and sisters here in South Dakota." He told me about Bobby Kennedy. It was April 16th, 1968, 12 days after Martin Luther King Jr. had been shot. And there were cities throughout our country that were literally in flames. And Bobby Kennedy, of all places, decided he wanted to go to Pine Ridge. So he flew into a small airport in Nebraska, drove hours to get to Pine Ridge. And when he did, he met with a 10-year-old boy that he wanted to meet with, named Christopher Prettyboy. 1 week earlier, Christopher had lost both of his parents in a car accident. They said, "Why? While you're running for president and the elections are so close, why do you come to Pine Ridge and why do you meet with a 10-year-old orphan?" And he said, "The rest of the world needs to know what's going on in Pine Ridge and in South Dakota. And today, the rest of the world needs to know, just as it did back then, what's going on here in Rapid City." We filed our complaint just moments ago. And we filed it as a class action on behalf of all of the Native Americans in our community who have been discriminated against. And we, to be clear, we don't file this complaint to send a message. We file a complaint because we want justice. And for those who would take us lightly, remind you in the last year, we sued Indian Health Services and the federal government and said that there is a treaty right to health care that Native American signatories of the Fort Laramie Treaty have, and we won. And then we took on the opioid industry, and we won. And we will continue to battle for the fundamental human rights and the dignity of every Native American in all of South Dakota and across the United States. Thank you for the opportunity to represent you. This will be a long process, but at the end of the road, there will be justice. And I ask you, if I can ask of one thing, We will now let the court system, we will find our justice through the court system. We will not resort to violence. We will use the legacy that all of our ancestors fought for when it came to civil rights, and they created laws for us to all be protected, and we will embrace that legacy. Thank you.
We also have some, it's good to be up here with Brendan, with Kevin, with other members of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council who came out here to walk with the people. They could be sitting in meetings right now, but they came out here because they love the people, because they care about what's going on up here. And so at this time, I want to ask some of the members of the Tribal Council to share a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe. Can you hear me? All right, good. Thought I was losing my voice. My name is Gerald Canoyer Jr. I am a tribal council representative for the Oglala Sioux tribe out of God's country. For those of you who don't know where that is, it's Medicine Root or Kyle. Can I get an amen? Yo, thank you. I like to say that, you know, hearing what happened, it's beyond disappointing. It's upsetting, and it's shameful to hear that that happened because of an incident that happens all across the world. Gun violence happens across the world. Gun violence. Hello. Gun violence happens all across the world, all across this nation. And not once do you ever see them ban the people that it affects. Ever. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I went overseas twice, and I come back to this. This is not what I defended. Not once. When I was 9 years old, as a young boy, I was called a little brown bastard in the parking lot of Family Thrift Center for waiting next to my mother's vehicle. No child should endure that. No race of people should have to endure that. That was 1999 that happened. Civil rights. Civil rights happened in the 60s. And in the 70s. And in the 70s, the AIM movement happened. 23 years ago, I was still called a little brown bastard. 2 days ago, we're banned as Native people again from a business that operates in treaty territory. This should never happen. This should never happen, and beyond reprehensible. And that's all I'd like to say, is that I'm glad to see everyone's faces here, and let's stand unified. Let's stand unified and continue this fight. Pokahe.
I first want to apologize to my elders for speaking English before you. I'm Julian Spotted Berry Machiapi, Pine Ridge District Representative. I'm also a retired U.S. Army veteran of 21 years. And I was put in this position to be a voice for our community that didn't have a voice. And after 21 years coming home and still going through the systemic racism that happens in the Rapid City area, is like what my colleague said, it's unrehappy. I'm nervous. I was a drill sergeant. But I just want to say that we are in these positions to be that voice, but we also need you to be that voice. We need to set a standard for ourselves, and it needs to be higher than what they believe that we have for ourselves. Let's continue to be who we are. We are Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that's here.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Jumping Eagle, Tribal Council rep from Medicine District also. I'm just happy to be here. Everybody vote Ryan Jumping Eagle. One of our elders who said those who those who know the most speak the least. That was actually Lexi John around him used to say that. He used to say that because there was a teaching of humility in that. And I want to say that, you know, when we stand up like this, we don't like to have to do this. We don't like to have to stand up in this way. But it is required to dismantle white supremacy and systematic racism. It is required for us to take to the streets. It is required for us to speak our voice and our power. It is required for us to file these lawsuits because these systems won't change unless we force them to. And there's something that seems to happen a lot of times when we're fighting against something. When we stand up and when we fight against something, sometimes the Washichu, they don't like how we speak. They don't like the language that we use. And they get scared of what we're standing up for until they see an injustice like this. And so I ask you to think about that. Lana Iyuk Chapo, to our allies. Whenever Native people speak up, don't turn to other cheek. Don't try to downplay it. We have a lived experience. I look out into this crowd here, and every single person in this crowd has experienced discrimination in this community. And that's why you're here. I look and I see these stories, all of these stories. And we want to have a day where those stories don't exist in our community. And that's what at core this is about. And so I share this idea, this concept for everything that our people have been through. Is it possible? Is it possible that the best days of our people are actually in front of us and not behind us? Because if we believe that to be true, then it requires action today. If we believe that to be true, things have to change today. Businesses like the Grand Gateway cannot do business here in Rapid City. So I want to thank each and every one of you. And at this time, the Chanjecha and the Okawich Kasha, I'll ask them to sing an encouragement song. At this time, before we wrap up a few things and say a few things. So at this time, we have one more speaker. This is Peter Lanke from the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, who came out to march with the people. And so I'm gonna have him say a few words, and then after that, then we'll hear the encouragement song.
Well, have me talk yapi. Daya ya hipedo. Daya beti du ta kinina ma shtik to do. Baya nupa da khuchaje. Demi ja extremely chash. We'll have my relatives. I am Chairman Peter Lenke of the Great Hunkpati Oyankeki, the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, as we're federally known. And I'd like to invite Christy Nome up to give her statement. Surely the leader of South Dakota is here to speak out against this. This is causing division amongst our peoples. It is actions and statements like this that create an environment that is conducive to violence. And if we're going to, and if the city leaders, the leaders of South Dakota are going to support this, then we need to hear something right away. I myself haven't heard anything yet. But I'm here with you today. The Hunkpati Oyanke are here with you today to stand with you in unity, in love, in prayer. Maybe it's time to take our monies elsewhere. I know through the non-tourist months and in the winter months, it is us, the indigenous people, that bring a lot of revenue into this place and keep a lot of these businesses afloat. Maybe if this is going to continue, we go somewhere else.
This is our land.
Maybe maybe things will change. And that's what we're praying for. That's what we're hoping for. We have our youth to think about that come to this town all the time. And I know when my children come to this town, it's tough because I know what goes on here. I know how we're treated here. And I know the things that happen here. A lot of us have lost many beloved relatives in this town, in this county, and in this area. It's actions like this, I want to echo that again. It is actions like this that create an environment that is conducive to violence. Well, hi, my relatives. I just want to say I love each and every one of you. And mi chante hitan wopita tanka.
Oh, kawe chaso mana.
So much, everyone, for joining us. That concludes the press conference portion of the event today. We are now just continuing to gather. There is some singing happening, a lot of relatives connecting and joining here in the middle of the street around the drum. We heard from NDN Collective President and CEO Nick Tilson. We heard from former State's Attorney General Brendan Johnson, from Oglala Sioux Tribal President Kevin Killer, from NDN Collective Director of Racial Equity Sunny Red Bear, and we heard from a few other members or representatives of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council, and also from the tribal chairperson of the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe. So really happy to have everybody here, and thank you so much for joining us. A lot of powerful words shared, a lot of beautiful prayers said, a lot of beautiful songs, and people are still joining. And so I think press is still hanging around. I think we may be breaking apart here as far as the press conference goes, but we'll be connecting with a few more folks and trying to have some more conversation about this moment, about this day. The federal civil rights class action lawsuit has been filed. That is going to be a whole process in and of itself, but based on what has been shared here today, we're confident. We feel really confident about this lawsuit, and we're really committed to fighting for justice for all of our people, for our children, for our future. This is one isolated incident, but we know it exists in a sea of many more incidents that our people have endured for too long. And unless we stand up, unless we organize from the grassroots all the way up to the level of working with our elected officials and tribal communities, working on the policy level, on the law side of things, that we run the risk of allowing these people to not be held accountable. So it's really important that everybody is here today organizing on all fronts. Thank you so much for joining us. Still really good feelings, a lot of happiness and excitement about why we're here. Knowing that it's obviously joining in response to something really horrible, but that there's power in what we're here for together today.
We have a young man by the name of Amor, of a youth here in the community. I believe he's 15 years old. He was out at the office late last night working on art, mostly talking, but he did pretty good. And I was mostly talking too. So, but this young man wants to share a few words at this time too, and it's important that we lift up the voices of the young people here in the community. So,
you know, I just want to say I want to thank you for everyone for coming out. You know, and yeah, you know, in the past we survived genocides, diseases, and war. Yet here we are. We're still strong even after all these generations, after all these decades, centuries. If we truly want change, it can't start tomorrow. It cannot start next week, not next month, today. Today is the day that we make change. To take change, you gotta take action to make change. And that's all I want to say today. Thank you. Medakuyasi!
At this time, we have one of our elders here. I believe Gerald Henley. Eddie Pena. Oh, you got switched up. You want to introduce him? Yeah.
How? Mitaki api, Wichante Ognako, Wichasha, Imachi api, hello. Christopher Alexander Pena is my name, and I go to Oglala Lakota College. I'm going for my master's degree, and I just wanted to tell everybody that I'm in school for leadership, and that someday when the power of love overcomes the love of power, then the world will know peace. Here's my father.
I am Christopher Pena's father. I am 87 years old. Before there was a motel on that property, there was a teepee. Before all these buildings that you see around us, there was teepees. This ground is still sacred to the Native Americans, and the gringos do not understand that. We are fighting now for justice, for acceptance, for what's happening now. I did not fight in the war in Korea or 2 tours in Vietnam to come back to see this. I lived this as a child myself. I'm 87 years old now. There were signs on windows that said, no Mexicans, no Indians, no dogs allowed. And here, we see it happening again. God bless you all, and I know because of this gathering, because of the speakers, because of the council representatives, there will be change. God bless you.
So at this time, if there's anybody that wants to share a few words, we'll probably just go on for about 10 more minutes before we say a closing prayer. And I know my sister Chunte, there can't be a mic in the vicinity of my sister without her getting on it. So she's gonna come up here. But I also wanted to say before she shares a few words that her and a group of people have been working hard in this community to try to eventually bring an Indian center here for the city of Rapid City, and that this is something that could be really good and positive for our people. And so just wanted to keep encouraging her and Lexi Jean Tyon, Amy Sazu. There's a long list. I can't even name everybody. So, but they've been doing that work on behalf of the people. So at this time, Chante Hart.
Homitakiupi, chante washte na petjuzapi, kokik papi wi machiapi he, si changu oyate etaha na, miniluzaha awati. Good afternoon, my relatives. It's an honor to be here with you, and I'm proud of all of you for being here today, so give yourselves a round of applause. I'm grateful for all of you, and we all love you. We love each other, and we need to hold each other up and stand together. But today I wanted to say a few words and let you know that we're coming to a deadline and we need some voices at the table at all places, on all platforms in Rapid City and South Dakota. We need leaders to run for public office. We need voices at the city council. We need voices in the legislature. And so I want all of you to stand up and use your voices because we need you and we love you. And we want to make a change, and so let's stand together and support each other. All solutions lead to voting, and so we need all of you to register to vote. I have a table set up at the Bandshell if you want to stop by, and if you're not registered, you can register yourself. And also, we have a petition to get a new governor. We need new leadership, and we need a new governor, and we need leadership that stands with us, that sticks with us, that supports us, that loves us, and knows who we are and knows whose land we're on. So I want you to go by the Bandshell and sign the petition to support our new Democratic governor, Jamie Smith. And also, I just want everyone to use your voices wherever you can and know that we're all standing behind you. Wopila, pilamayaye, mitakuye oyasi.
Ho mitakuyepi, chetamwi emanchapi, oglala hemataha prahi sete el imanchare. The priest and the nuns didn't get a hold of me, so I still speak my language. When I was 5 years old and lived in Gordon, Nebraska, there were signs that said no Indians allowed and no dogs allowed. Last night, when I heard the news of what the people at the Grandway Hotel said, it shot an arrow into my heart. It hurt. It hurt very much. Hitler said, we don't know who the good Jews are and who the bad Jews are, so let's kill them. Putin says we don't know who the Ukrainians are good and which ones are bad, so let's kill them. And that's what happened to us. You know, and when 9/11 happened, they said, this is the greatest tragedy our country has ever experienced. And you know what? I disagree. Yeah. We have experienced tragedy, upheaval, loss of land, loss of identity, loss of our culture, and loss of our language. And that is the greatest tragedy that could have ever happened to any group of people. I moved here in Rapid City in '69, so I've been here about 52 years. And Rapid City has taken 2 steps forward and 10 steps backwards. That's the way it's been. They make some improvement, and then they go backwards. Years ago, there are a lot of causes that many of us can get involved in. And my mentor told me, my spiritual leader was, Dawson has no horse. He taught me how to love myself so I can love others. How to respect myself so that I can respect others. And in Lakota language, the words are short and simple and deep. And that's what this man taught me. And many of us who ran to him in those early days because we knew so very little. And today I stand in front of you having been gifted my culture. For a few years there, I was really busy being an Apple from the Apple tribe. You're laughing because you identify. Then I realized, AIM woke me up, shook me up, that I would lose my culture if I didn't do something actively to hang on to it and to live it. Our way, Wolakota way, is we walk our talk. We walk our talk. My heart is full. Last night, an arrow was shot into my heart, and I felt pain. Right now, I am very blessed and very happy that I'm around the people with the likes of you. And as far as I see, we're all good Indians. We deserve the very best. We deserve to be proud, hold our head up, and walk our talk. Mitakie pi wopilai chichapi mitakie. Well, see, I forgot to tell you who I am. I am Ikjewiya, common earth woman, the highest position that any woman can hold and any man can hold is Ikjewi Chasha and Ikjewiya, people of the earth. We have much to teach everyone. They have much to learn from us. Wopila Chichapi, let's hear it for you.
Thank you. Wopila Hitchucks. You know, folks, my name is Chanupa Gluhamani. The grandma that just mentioned Dawson has no horse. I bear the name with him, Chanupa Gluhamani. You all know me as Dennis Dwayne Martin Sr. from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I've been in a struggle for so long that my life is never comfortable to be a grandfather, which I am. Now today, I hear all of you talking about things that are not retroactive to the sense of what we believe in, but I want to ask you people to help me challenge the Oglala Sioux tribe and all their tribal leadership to put up signs within the boundaries of their said reservation that state, let's ask the state to erase their hate. Can you hear me? Come on, let me hear it. Can you hear me? Because if we can set an example like that, then and only then can the state really listen to you. Every day racism occurs. Every day a life's taken. The minute the sun comes up and goes down, a life is taken. And when we gather like this, thanks to my little brother and my older brother for calling me to this, Louis Richard Janice and my little brother Calvin Martin, they told me to get a hold of my nephew, Nick Tilson, to come to this and represent them because two things happened to them. My older brother's son was pulled over in our sacred Black Hills for praying. Wacheki, hoksila kele. Thanka naji naha. Pejicho tahuch ijuna azilya naha. Wambli kele okanche. Na wocheki yanke. Hohe hoksila ki iya na wocheki kache. Yungha, Park Service kilena hi najim, ihakab najim naha. What are you doing? I'm praying to the sacred bird. I have that right. You see, all these state, federal parks belong to me. I say that because I want conviction from you to really represent this land. Don't just say it and scream and shout and forget about it next day. Every day you have to scream. Can I get a hell yeah? Come on, hell yeah one more time. See, that's the power, because the white race will always discriminate against you. Just what happened up there on La Crosse Street. The problem is, even our tribal governments need to blame them. Am I right? Come on, am I right? See, you don't want to scream like that. Tribal governments have power. They can do that. But until we recognize this wash, okay, then and only then can you start living free. That's the problem. We've been using their names for so damn long that we think and act like the white man. Lakota ichaje luhab hanta. He wash ake sutat hankike wakhat hanka kichimane to he nichupi. Na unchima khaki le toha suta najink te hanta wa blezikilena yachukte. How many know what I said in our language? Raise your hand. Come on. Come on, shout it out. How many? Come on. You see, that's a small handful. But in ancient times, prior to when Wounded Knee kicked off, I go as far as 69 and 68. Why? Bob Yellowbird Still took us to Fort Robinson when they found the cement corporation down there. And they were trying to do away with Fort Robinson, which is better known as a Camp Robinson, because they found cement. So Bob Yellowbird Still lent a bunch of elders down there. And just like that grandma said earlier, there's still slogans in Nebraska that say, no Indians or dogs allowed without a leash. And I can take you to them right now. That's the racism that exists because this country is full of racist people, no matter what color they are. And the problem is, you white people don't want to hear the truth. You blame us for your mistake. We defeated you. In a couple months, our memorial is going to take place on June 25th, 1876. We did that to you. And if you continue on, white man, that's what awaits you. We are sick and tired of being ridiculed, pushed into a dilemma where we have to fight you again. But I don't see any of you today. And tribal governments, you need to do this for me. You mentioned about Kristi Noem being here. She should have been here. So maybe all of you can ask a question. You legalized the permit of carrying a gun. Okay? So here now you got our people killing each other. You did that, white man. Everything you want is bad. So you impose it on us. The federal government does the same thing. The time when I supported the American Indian movement, it was the time when our people were crying out a need for an existence of who we are in our own territory. Existence. Just like that slogan. It never existed. And some of you feds that are in the crowd, tell your people, leave us alone. Now you feds knew who you are. Some of you are walking with us. Don't think I don't know. My third eye sees farther than yours. The hard part is, the real truth, this is one of the last living AIM warriors of that era in 1973. I was 13 years old with a single-shot .22 rifle aimed at them. And as year went by, I went to prison for taking the life of a cop. I came back to be the bodyguard for two important men in Indian country, Lehman Brightman and Russell Means. That's my experience of this. And you all say that. Nah, I disagree. Because until you can put our elders first and the children, then and only then, you put an end to a struggle. And I'm still doing that to this day at the age of 64. It's hard living like this. I don't just come out to walk and participate. No, I live it every day. Because I tested exactly what my brother was saying, what they did to my nephew. And sure enough, the Park Service did that. We have to really look at what a complaint is. Because if you have to start it from a federal level, I urge all of you to really look at it from a genocidal perspective. Why? Because genocide only goes after a few for only 1 year. I'm looking at it this way. It's called propitiate fundamental practice. What does propitiate mean? Has anyone heard of the term propitiate? Raise your hand. disquiet. Pro-patriot is stronger than genocide. Because them Latin countries, they use that against America. They use that against Canada. It's the annihilation of a race where that race cannot reproduce itself. And look at all them tribes in the East Coast. They're gone. They're watered down. I'm Cherokee. My grandma was a Choctaw princess. You hear that, Norm? And eventually they're going to do that to us Lakotas. But it's up to you to make that difference. And the only way it can happen, folks, independence and freedom. And that's yours. Mitakipi, lechalakis emila hasta kawi choik imu. Na hawak hanja na hawakanki lena ewak tunja oakisni. Matuenisni. Ash, wolak hote etchetke nosing te hunter. Kevin, where'd you go? Kevin Keller. I saw him sitting there, standing there. Kevin, please do that. Take that as initiative. Representative Rodriguez and the Vice Chairman here. Please take that understanding and start putting signs up like that. That say, let's ask the state to erase their hate, because once that sits in them, then the white race will understand that we want to be left alone too. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? Okay, you see, that's the power right there. Let's give it back to our people and continue on. Thank you all for hearing me.
Aho mitakepi, shalte washte nape chuzapo, Bear Cross and Machapo, Leon Petuki. Today, we stand here under the word racism. Racism is bad here in Rapid City. I live here in Rapid City. I see our Native Americans always being treated pretty bad by our Chungsals. You'll see a few summers ago, they had a man get out of a wheelchair and crawl into that paddy wagon. Oh, who gives them that right to do this amongst to our people? That being said, relatives, this racism needs to stop here today, maybe in the future, so our children can grow up in a safe environment, community, relatives. That being said, today, with the word racism needs to be gone now. We are brown. The white people are white. The black people are black. But yet, we all have the same features. We have eyes, we have nose, we have fingers. Nobody puts anybody higher than anybody else. We are all equal, just like Creator, God, Lord Jesus Christ made us all equal, relatives. That being said, I want to sing a victory song for what has happened here today. Remember this song, relatives. Kashuke with go. Kashuke with go. Kashuke with go. Kashuke with go. Catch it to you, Lord.
I want to ask forgiveness before I speak. I want to ask forgiveness in front of my elders for speaking before them. My name is Representative Puri Puyer, and I represent District 27. That's 5 counties, including the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I come to you in a good way, in a big heart. I talked to a lot of my friends across Indian country, and they said, "Are you going?" And I said, "Yes." "Are you going?" "Yes, I am." We came here to march with you in solidarity because it's 2022 and we're fighting for the basic right to be what? A human being? We're fighting, we're standing, we're marching, we're protesting for basic dignity. This is unacceptable. I look at my son in the crowd. We marched here today because this has to stop. I stand with you in drawing the line. I stand with all my Native people. I want to tell you that I stand in Pierre to represent and fight for your voice and your rights. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's like I'm standing, me and other Native legislators, Troy Heinart, Red Dawn Foster, Jean Bordeaux, we're Democrats, and we're standing, and it feels like we're looking at a tsunami on us. So we all need your support. We stand and fight for you. Please register to vote. When you see victories across Indian country, when you look at Minnesota and you see victories for Indian country, they listen to the Native people. But do you know that Minnesota has the highest voter turnout in the country? That's what representation gets you. That's what participation gets you. We need to increase our voter turnout because the more people go and exercise every right that we all have, the better our government changes. When we go to the town council downtown, there should be a Native there who represents your values, your beliefs, your perspectives, and every power structure there is in South Dakota. The only check that we have to this big wave that speaks against us, that wants us to be small, that wants us to cower down, the only check is the Ocheti Shakoi. That's the only check. We are powerful people, and when we come together and we band together, we are a check to that. So I just want to say, we're here and we support you. While I was walking, I saw a beautiful, tall Native woman. And I was walking behind her and I was thinking, you know, there's only one Native woman I know who's that tall. That's Representative Ruth Buffalo, and she came all the way from North Dakota to walk with us here. Here's Ruth Buffalo.
Thank you. In the Hidatsa language, I too want to echo the words of my sister, Representative Perry Poyer. I want to apologize for standing in front of you, and my sister asked me to say a few words, so I will be brief. I also want to respect you and introduce myself in Hidatsa. I'm a citizen of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. I'm originally from Mandaree, which is on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation, and currently I live in Fargo, North Dakota. So Nido Shadzi Nakbaga. Oh, hello, good people. How are you? Madashi Mia Adash Heads. My name is Woman Appears. Mabe Sigids, Madzigidads Nakbaga. Oh, it's a good day today. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me into this space with you. As soon as I heard about what happened, I couldn't believe it, and I knew I had to be here. As a mother of 4 children, I thought of the youth. What about our youth? Because we know this racist rhetoric trickles back to the classrooms. It gets into the schools. And so I want to say to our youth that we love you, you are valued, we respect you, and we honor you. I was joking with one of my sisters on the way down here. I said, you know what? We don't travel to basketball tournaments anymore. We travel to marches. So it's really an honor to be here with you today. Please continue to be good to one another, be good relatives, support one another. Matzigidads Nakbaga O. Thank you.
Go ahead, all of you.
Aho, mitakepi. Chante stema pichiza pile. Le chanuki. Ya si chahu tamahi. Karitranka, La Colia, La Cochajaki, Pejutazi. Elmitaki pi lechunku kigle washte. Natako umagla kikile le tribal government. Naha treaty. Hina leche ochimpi. Treaty. Our treaty rights. Elkanke emitik tu japo in wachetka wagla kinte. Our relatives, I'd like to shake all of his hands, and I want to say that, you know, I come from Rosebud, Big Crow, Indian name, Pejutazi, yellow medicine. And I want to say that from my heart to all of you that we are having it hard here in Rapid City. You know, policemen, white boys, they go and beat us up down at the creek late at night. And when we call the police, they laugh at us because they're scared of Indian blood. They don't want to come, but they're happy what we're doing to each other. We have to stop that. Us Native people here in Rapid City. Stop hurting each other. We're getting hurt already bad by these police officers and these little white boys that go around ganging our homeless on the creek. I just want to say that. Yeah, 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 oh, ya te ke la kohena ni trawa pelo, hina ni trawa pelo, hina ne chupelo, oh, ya te ke la kohena ni trawa pelo, hey, nani kawape, hey, nani chupelo, hey, ya, hey, ya, hey, hoelo, hey, aho mitaki piyaki ni washagya, nashipo, onchakyapo, aho lakotaki, tala nashipo. We are having it hard here today, tomorrow, next day. We need your all support from from every tribe. I ask every tribe all over the United States to come and support us. Our tribal leaders should be here. Our tribal leaders should be here. Our presidents of our tribe should be here today to help us. We need to be recognized. We don't need to be put under a rug. We need to be recognized. I ask all the tribal leaders to come. Our tribal leaderships, our treaty rights, we need to bring them here. We need to bring them here. Our tribal governments, we need them here. Where are you today? We need you. This is where we need you. We need to be recognized. Aho mitakiapi, wo pele chicha pelo, aho.
Hamitakiapi, ampetu washte. This is the good house emachiapi. Ia wasloha hemataha. Na ia wakakapi elwati tha. Ash wana akichita hanska. Elwati na washi chamu. My relatives, my name is Sissy Goodhouse. And like the Thui here said, I'm Ikshewiya. I sat at Ocheti Shakoi, praying for our water, Mini Wichoni. I came with my husband. He couldn't make it up here. There was too many people. I have my grandson. He lives in Pine Ridge. And I have great-grandchildren that are there standing with him. I have a grandson. His name is Layden. No dapple, spelled backwards without the P. And my relatives, they live here. They're amongst you. I don't want anything to happen to them. That's why I came here. I'm just a teacher. I teach high school, 9 through 12 at Standing Rock. And I took the day off today. But I make sure I teach my students about the treaties. And I tell them, you don't be ashamed. You go to that hospital when you need to go if you're sick. You demand. Because every time they ask me, put your insurance down, I write down 1868. So now every time I go in, this one lady, she says, hi, 1868. Because I don't put nothing for insurance. But I want to support and came here. We drove down this morning and we're going to go back after this. My husband's done this for many years and I've helped him. He always says, remember, in the treaties, this land is ours for absolute and undisturbed use and occupation. That's my job, to teach my students. Standing Rock is not an IRA government, and I have to keep encouraging the students to learn that. And the women, we gotta push these men. We don't have to be out front. We gotta get behind these men and push them and support them. Because I'm just Ikchewiya. Lakota wiyake na kiksapaye niye umwetaya wichin chage chaya oya tiki haya wachiniya pelo hai. Hey ho yo hey hi yo hey yo hey hi yo hey yo hey hi 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 yo hey yo hey. I just want to say one thing, that I encourage my students, that you're going to be our arrows. We need you to be sober and alcohol, drug-free, because you have to fight for us. I can't walk very far, so I need him to do it for me. I need all of you young people to do these things for us, and we're going to support you. We'll be there fighting. We've done it for a long time. The unchis, the truis, you look around. We push that man, put that war bonnet on, and go fight. Ha, mitakiapi, mitakawasi.
Hey matakiapi, leampi tukile. Iu hachonte waste na pechiziapi. Imachiapi, wakia tuampi iyo yampawi. I just wanted to greet each and every one of you with a handshake from my heart. I'm Candy Brings Plenty, Oglala Lakota Sioux, and I identify as a two-spirit, non-binary person. But, you know, I've lived here in Rapid City since I was 3 years old. I remember the day whenever my mom packed up our car and we moved to Rapid City. And my first job was at Ramkota, which is now the Gateway. I grew up here and I experienced so much racism. I went to the YFS Early Head Start, and I remember the white teachers giving me the ugly mat to sleep on and giving the white kids the nice mats because they said they're clean. And I remember I went to school at Meadowbrook Elementary School, and I was the only Indian kid. And I always got beat up by all these white kids all the time, and I always wondered why the recess monitors never did anything. But I still got straight A's. And then I went to Southwest Middle School, and I was picked on and I was bullied. And there was this one girl who continued to come up to me, and she said, "You're just a dirty white girl. You're not an Indian. You only get straight A's because our school gets money for you." And I ended up being Student of the Year. I had straight A's, and this student kept coming up to me, and she got in my face. And this boy came up to me, and he said, "You know, my dad said that Indians are powerful." And he said, "My dad said that it's an honor that I get to go to school with an Indian because we live in the Black Hills, and this is your land." And he said, I told him that these kids always make fun of you because you're brown, but you're smarter than all of us. And he said, if you want to stand up for yourself, I have your back. And it took this one white ally to stand up with me. And I went up to that girl and I told her, "I'm Lakota, and I'm powerful." And I made the mistake, though, I will admit this, because she laughed at me. And she said, "You probably don't even know who your dad is." And I punched her in the face. And she had braces and a white shirt on, so it looked like really horrible because blood got everywhere. And I got taken to the office, and I got arrested that day. And there was actually a film crew outside doing like the afternoon minutes. And my mom came, and she was so upset because they weren't supposed to arrest me or handcuff me, but they filmed me going out in the police car. But it was Lexi Russell Means who came the next day, and he came with some other uncles, and he came in and he talked to them, and he said, "Even this school is built on Lakota land." Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to speak to all the youth, to all the children. You know, I'm still here, and I left to go get my master's in Portland, Oregon. And I was invited by many different politicians and mayors, and a lot of people knew me and my two daughters. And they wanted representation from the Indigenous community. They wanted to see and hear Indigenous stories whenever they were making policies. And then when I moved back to Rapid City, I didn't want to come home. You know, I raised my girls in Portland, but we moved back in 2018 when my father passed away. But I came here and I seen our communities. To me, I was sad because it felt like we had become obedient as fuck. I'm sorry to say that, but I am passionate about this. Because today, coming here, I'm seeing us. We are standing up. We are becoming that generation prophecy where those deer stand back up. And it's our children and our youth, definitely, who remember and will talk about these marches that we go on, that will talk about NDN Collective, that will talk about our Indigenous legislators who are making policy change. So yes, I do want to support what Chante said. We need representation across the board. And we need to empower our children every day when they go to school because they're facing racism in ways that they don't share with us. So smudge your children and smudge them when they get home. Popilatanka, matakiase.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out today. I think that's the end of our speakers. Elders, women, or children need rides. We'll have 2 vans parked over here, so if you want to come gather over here if you need a ride. Otherwise, please safely head back to the Bandshell. Thank you.
Did you want to close it out? Sure. Let's go on the light.
I'd actually like to make a statement here. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if everybody hears me or just one person hears me. I'm listening. I've lived in Rapid City for a while. When my father came here, he wanted to see me. He'd been out of my life forever. But Rapid City had took him. My mom married into somebody new, and Rapid City still took him. And I walk down these streets almost every day. I walk around a lot. And everybody that's everywhere, sitting on the ground, no home. I have to pretend that I walk around in those streets, that I don't feel their pain, because I have been there. And the white people or the Washington Jews, whichever one you would like to refer them to, They think they're more different than us, but we are the same. We have the same blood. We bleed. They just haven't had the experience that we've had.
Exactly.
And everybody that walks around and helps. I've tried so desperately to help as much as I can, but there's only so much I can give. And there's not enough people.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. We are closing out our rally, our press conference, our march here in Maniluzaha, downtown Rapid City. We heard from a lot of really great speakers. We're a number of youth, a number of elders from various different tribal communities, and thank you so much for joining us. And we're starting to break down the show here. So once again, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be continuing to report on the story as the case evolves. I know that there is going to continue to be actions here in Rapid City. There are some local organizing. There's local organizing happening for some things coming up in the next couple of days, so stay tuned, and we'll continue to amplify those other opportunities for people to come and engage and support. Thanks so much, everyone.